Batman v Superman came out about a month ago, having been utterly panned by critics and met with lukewarm response from general audiences. The film has a very vocal minority of hardcore defenders, but overall it just hasn't gotten the response Warner Brothers was hoping for when they spent over $400 million on it. The film just barely broke even worldwide in its third week of release after being prematurely dethroned as the #1 film in the box office by a Melissa McCarthy comedy no one even liked. Now, of course, people who are vehemently defending this movie claim quite a few hyperbolic, bordering on conspiratorial things. Critics are bought out by Disney. Audiences are stupid and don't want mature adult superhero films. They just want a bunch of jokey Marvel schlock. But let's take a step back and really think about why this movie objectively did not live up to its potential when it comes to monetary and critical success. These characters are more iconic than any Marvel superhero in existence. They created the superhero, yet they somehow failed to make a film that resonated with audiences. The Dark Knight was both a critical and financial success, and it was dark and gritty, didn't have many jokes, and it tackled a plethora of deep issues masterfully. There's fate versus choice, the ethical repercussions of invading privacy for the sake of security. Are people inherently good or evil? The importance of public perception versus reality. Whether it's better to enact change from within or outside of a potentially broken system. The risk of creating a more dangerous, radicalized enemy when you yourself take a strong stance against evil. The movie has so much to unpack, I could literally explore its themes for hours. It tackled all this and managed to be an entertaining movie for the masses despite not being for children, justifying its large budget. So why didn't Batman vs Superman? The Dark Knight was both dark and gritty. Dark is in the name, and that wasn't a problem for it. But it obviously doesn't make a movie a success either, given the lukewarm audience responses to both Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. So what's the real problem here? It's a very simple issue, yet very difficult for many writers to correct for some reason. The film just does not understand what is at the core of either character, especially what it means to have these two characters together. Batman and Superman are meant to be opposites, as Jesse Eisenberg screamed at us in the trailers.
God versus man. Day versus night. Son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham.
These characters are two sides of the same coin, having very different perspectives and approaches to crime fighting, yet remaining unshakably moral at their core. That doesn't mean they need to be characters without conflict, without doubts, but these are characters that fight past those issues and overcome them. Zack Snyder's heroes don't like helping people. They aren't even good at helping people. Zack Snyder sees Batman as a badass who beats up bad guys. That seems to be how many of the hardcore defenders of the film see him too, and you know what? In many respects he is. But if that's all you get from the character in the comics, you're frankly not paying attention. Batman's origins tell you what his priorities are. He was a child who saw his parents murdered by a mugger in front of him, and while in his original origins he declared that he would avenge his parents by warring on criminals, characters, quite frankly, evolved over the past 70 whatever years. Now, for the majority of his history, it's become understood that Batman didn't become Batman to kill criminals with his cool toys. He became Batman so that no little boy will ever have to see their parents killed by a mugger ever again. And that's what's resonated most with readers and audiences in general. Batman is tough, but at heart is a compassionate and sympathetic person. And you know what? To be completely fair, we see a bit of that in BVS. He gets upset when his employee is hurt, and while the execution of the Martha moment is atrocious, the idea of Batman empathizing with Superman being what stops them from fighting is solid. Somewhere in the screenwriting process, someone was trying to get this aspect of the character across. The problem was most likely Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder just wants to see Batman beat the shit out of bad guys. That's why Batman's cool to him. That's all he cares about. But what about Batman's near opposite in approach, Superman? Both of these characters fight crime and are both at heart good people, but part of what makes the dynamic of the characters in the comic and in the old animated series so engaging and fun is their differences. Batman is gruff, harsh, and hides his compassion behind his cowl. Superman is unmasked, uncompromising, and does not hide his compassion. It's his most apparent trait to those who know the character. Compassion is what makes both men a hero despite the different ways they express it. Let's look at it this way. The people these heroes help and the human criminals they apprehend are like their children. Superman is a dad who tells his kids he loves them every time he sees them, giving them great big bear hugs even if it embarrasses them. When he disciplines his kids, he tries to explain to them what they've done wrong, to make them understand the consequences of their actions, and, sometimes he'll ground them. Batman is a curt, rough dad who's emotionally stunted and does his best to show his kids he loves them by working hard for them. When he disciplines his kids, he makes sure they never want to do anything bad ever again. If he caught his kids smoking, he'd make them smoke the whole pack back so that they never wanted to see a cigarette again. Every once in a while you may get a tender moment from him, but it's rare. He's all about tough love. In BVS, Superman wishes he never had kids. He thinks they're ungrateful brats who don't appreciate how hard he's working. Batman is an abusive father, just beats the shit out of his kids the minute they talk back to him. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of not only these characters, but superheroes as a whole. In the end, that's why people are upset. That's why people don't like watching the movie. That's why when people say it's not fun, I think that's what they actually mean. That's the problem with these movies and Zack Snyder's directorial decisions on this franchise. All ideas of the quality of the film aside, any technical notes, any plot holes, all that, so many people who hated this movie would have forgiven all that had they just gotten the two title characters right. Even in Tim Burton's Batman, his first goal was protecting other people. And Tim Burton proudly stated he'd never read a comic book in his life, but he understood what a hero was. Zack Snyder doesn't understand heroes. He doesn't like them, it seems. And he doesn't have any place building a world for them. If you want to see some good stuff featuring a modern take on Superman, you should read Max Landis's American Alien. It's actually really good, and you can get them on Comixology and read them on your phone, or, go to your local comic book store. It's always great to support local stores. But go check that out if you want to see a modern take on Superman that's really good. For Batman, I mean, it's easier to find good stuff on Batman. Just go look up a list of great Batman stories, you'll find it. And of course, there's always the Justice League animated series if you want to see those two together. There's lots of other stories you can get to that'll actually get to the heart of these characters and give you what you want that you didn't get from BVS. Anyway, thanks for watching my dissertation on this subject, and if you like this video and want to see more like it, please consider giving a couple bucks to my Patreon. If you give just $2 or more, you'll get my videos before anyone else gets to see them, and it really helps me out and it'll help me to make videos faster, better, and just more often in general. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time I make a video. Maybe next week. We'll see.